Song of Roland was probably written in the 11th century. The author is unknown, and the only mention of him is an annotation at the end of the manuscript, referring to a person named Thorold. The action of the work takes place in Spain, probably in the year 778, as it was during this year that the French king Charlemagne laid siege to Saragossa, which had been in the hands of the Moors, or Muslims, who had occupied the territories of the Iberian Peninsula for several decades. The main character of the poem is Roland, the nephew of King Charlemagne, who was a brave and noble knight. It is the year 778, and the war between the Muslim Saracens and the Franks, today's French people ruled by King Charlemagne, has been ongoing for 7 years. The Saracens are led by King Marsil, who was stationed in Saragossa in northern present-day Spain. The Muslims were in retreat. Charlemagne's troops were conquering city after city. Marsil knew that the few troops guarding Saragossa were doomed to defeat. He had to quickly come up with a solution. His advisor, Blancandrin, came to his aid, suggesting a trick to deceive Charlemagne and gain time. On Blancandrin's advice, Marsil proposed to Charlemagne that he would convert to Christianity and pay homage to him if he withdrew his troops. As was customary in the Middle Ages, hostages were handed over to guarantee the fulfillment of such agreements. Marsil planned to do the same, handing over the sons of noble families to Charlemagne as hostages. If the agreement was broken, Charlemagne could do as he wished with them. Marsil had no intention of keeping his word. He only wanted to buy some time. He knew that the hostages given would be doomed to certain death, but he and Blancandrin agreed that it was better for them to lose their lives than for the Saracens to lose Spain. King Charlemagne was skeptical of the proposal he received. Thus, he called a council in which his nephew, Roland, participated. The young knight did not want to hear of any truce, believing that Marsil was surely lying and had no intention of fulfilling his commitments. Ganelon, another knight and Roland's stepfather, held a different opinion. Charlemagne was unsure of what to do and decided to send someone to negotiate with Marsil. However, he could not decide whom to send. Many volunteered, including Roland himself. The king rejected all the candidates. Then Roland suggested Ganelon, believing that only he was qualified enough to conduct the negotiations. Thus, Ganelon was sent to Saragossa. However, there was a problem. Ganelon did not want to go. Nevertheless, he went. But he did not hide his anger, and during the journey, plotted how to take revenge on Roland for proposing his candidacy. He decided to make a pact with Marsil, thereby betraying the Franks. He only asked that Roland be killed. According to King Charlemagne's offer, if Marsil converted to Christianity, he would be given half of Spain to govern, while the other half would go to Roland. Following Ganelon's persuasion, Marsil agreed to join the conspiracy. Charlemagne was to be informed that his terms had been accepted, and during the army's retreat, the rearguard was to be ambushed. Ganelon, now a traitor, would ensure that Roland was in the rearguard during the expedition. Upon his return to the Frankish kingdom, Ganelon announced that Marsil had accepted the terms and would convert to Christianity. He also handed over the keys to the city gates. However, he did not bring back any hostages. When asked about them, he replied that the hostage had drowned in the sea. King Charlemagne decided to march to Saragossa, which had unexpectedly accepted his terms. An ambush awaited them along the route, and Roland's forces were surrounded. In the fierce battles with the Saracens, many knights were lost. Roland himself was wounded. Nevertheless, he refused to send a request for help to the king, considering it dishonorable. The bishop present on the battlefield blessed Roland, who resolved to fight to the end. Despite heavy losses, they managed to force the Saracens to retreat. Severely wounded, Roland knew he would not survive. Knowing his end was near, he climbed a hill and lay down, facing Spain. He tried to break his beloved sword, Durandal, so that it would not fall into enemy hands, but he did not have the strength. Lying down, he prayed and thought of his homeland. He stretched his hand toward the sky and died. After his death, the angel Gabriel took him to paradise. When Roland's fiancée heard of his death, she too passed away. King Charlemagne avenged the loss of his brave knights and defeated Marsil. He ordered that the hearts of the fallen, Roland, Oliver, and Archbishop Tilpin, be wrapped in silk shrouds and buried in a white marble coffin. Their bodies, anointed with perfumes, were to be transported back to France. Ganelon was sentenced to a martyr's death for his treachery, being torn apart by horses.